Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day, and in this video I'm coming back at you with another Let's Talk 6 ring. We are on the last of the 6 rings, hooray, finally. We are on the Cleric, so let's go. Okay, so to start off, they're gonna have percentages and skill tree, so because of that, the gap between each and every cost of gear is going to be even bigger than it was before, because these are percentages, these multiply, and consider they multiply, like, they also, like, increase the total amount according to the actual, like, total actual stat that it actually has, and considering that the higher the cost you go, the more higher the stats are going to be, so the percentages are going to boost. With the bigger number, they're going to give even more of a boost, so that's why I'm saying, like, the higher the gap between, like, the gap's going to be bigger between each and every cost, is what I'm actually trying to say. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Okay, so now let's get to the moves. Okay, so right here we got Greater Arc Heal. Greater Arc Heal is literally the better version of area recovery. So we got a better version of area recovery. This one removes status alignments and debuffs for one ally and their adjacent ally, so that's a max of 3 with an ability power of 170 and heals the HP of all targets. That right there, again, is a pretty great move. Only issue is it may cast a bit slow, and that's legitimately it. That's legitimately the only downside to it, is it may cast a bit slow. Greater Arc Heal is legitimately one of the, like, the greatest heal for, like 3 people at once in the game, besides, like, the fact that it's super slow. So yeah, that's pretty much covered Great Arc Heal. If you're definitely, like, needing something that ever helps remove status alignments and debuffs, Greater Arc Heal legitimately does the trick. Like, Greater Arc Heal is the best choice in the game right now if you're looking for something like that, and on top of it, it heals. Okay, so moving on from there, we got Silver Guidance right here. Silver Guidance is a really nice ability. It only has 10 ability cooldown time, and then it costs 0 to use. It's usable when a relic is equipped as your main weapon. It consumes 30% of your max HP on use. It has an ability power of 100. It deals magic damage that uses both magic attack and defense to a single enemy 2 times. Then cast Prohibit Unison on target for 10 seconds with a success value of 60. And recovers your character's cost by 15. So legitimately right here, this is almost as much, like, this is the next Ether exchange for clerics. Especially in player versus player, you're going to be seeing Silver Guidance a lot, a legitimately lot. This right here is the next Ether exchange. Ether exchange takes so long to cast again. Silver Guidance only takes a legitimate 10 seconds, and on top of that 10 seconds, right, you're a cleric. So if you lose all that HP, you can legitimately easily get it back. This right here is going to be the next Ether exchange for clerics. Like, literally the next Ether exchange for clerics. This right here is beyond phenomenal, and just, it's so beautiful. It's legitimately ridiculous. You're probably going to be seeing this a lot at player versus enemy too, because again, Ether exchange, and I think it's like Pyro's Wish has ability cooldown times. Hold on. Okay, so right here we take a look at Pyro's Wish. Pyro's Wish is supposed to be like the cleric exclusive Ether exchange. It does what Ether exchange does. It increases the status alignment resistance of all allies by 30 for 40 seconds. For some things, Pyro's Wish might be useful for, but for the most part, Silver Guidance is definitely what you want to look at, because you're going to be getting so much more cost, and on top of it, you're doing free damage, and if it's player versus player, right, you can actually have a chance to cast Prohibit Unison. So right there is a beautiful Ether. This is legitimately the next Ether exchange for clerics. You're getting so much more cost back doing this instead of doing like Ether exchange and Pyro's Wish. You're legitimately getting off, like, you're legitimately getting 15 more Ether. Like, by the time, like, it's gonna take 30 seconds to actually, like, get to 45, and then it's only gonna take like 20 seconds to get to 30 costs recovered. So you're legitimately getting more costs back, and on top of it, you're doing extra by doing Silver Guidance instead of like Ether exchange or Pyro's, I can't even say the name, Wish. So right here is the new Ether exchange. So you're gonna be seeing this a lot on clerics now. Silver Guidance is definitely the move to use if you don't have it. All hands down, no questions asked. Divine Affection increases an ally's max HP by 40% for 60 seconds and recovers the target's max HP by 100%. So right here, I'm not watching. This may be useful in like maybe player versus player, like Coliseum and dual rooms. I'm not 100% sure how this is going to go. This isn't a 100% useless move. This might be handy in some situations, possibly, but I can't really say all too much about this move. For player versus enemy, though, I don't recommend this move whatsoever. Just stick with your heals. And if I didn't say so, Greater Arc Heal is definitely the move to go if you're looking for something that also removes status elements and heals at the same time. So definitely right there. We already got 2 nasty moves. This may not be the best move to use. It's definitely, I wouldn't say complete pushover, but it's definitely not, like, I wouldn't say it's going to be all too useful, to be fairly honest. Okay, so we got Sacrificial Healing right here. Ability power 70, it heals the HP of all allies. Reduces the HP recovery effects of yourself by 50% for 15 seconds. It reduces your usage by 10. Sacrificial Healing is going to be used a lot. It's not going to be like, it's pretty much the next Divinity, but it has risk involved. Just like, have you seen, like, if you actually looked at the mage's skill tree, or perhaps, I would say Silver Guidance is risky because it's literally the next Aether Exchange, and Aether Exchange have always had that type of risk involved with them. But if you look at some of the mage's stuff, right, like it subs 10% of your max HP, or like the Agent spell, this one's also a risky move because you're decreasing how much actually health you're getting by 50%, right? Like you're decreasing your health recovery effects, and you're decreasing your usage gauge by 10, and Unison makes the world go round. Now this does have 0 cost with 15 ability cooldown time, so this right here is really beautiful, and by default this actually has more ability power than Divinity, so this is even possibly, if you don't have your Divinity enchanted, this is legitimately actually better than Divinity heal wise. So this, you're going to be seeing Sacrificial Healing a pretty good amount. I'm not going to say you're going to be seeing it 24/7, maybe next to 24/7. You will see some people at least use the Divinity every now and then because that usage gauge decrease, and then the cost, the healing effects reduced can't hurt, especially like, let's say like you're doing like the 40 cost dragons or any events with like types of certain rules. Stuff like that can possibly hurt, but you will be seeing Sacrificial Healing a lot because Sacrificial Healing has 0 cost. It's by default stronger than Divinity, and it has greater cooldown time than Divinity itself. So for the most part, it's stronger than Divinity. It does have some risk involved though. So I personally think, for definitely like if you're doing speed runs, quick things, I would say things that are awfully way too difficult and they don't include like potentially a lot of damage or hurt for you or your teammates per se, for example, like ridiculously stupid hard, Sacrificial Healing is the way to go. So yeah, definitely a nice ability. Whether you want Divinity or Sacrificial Healing, it really all depends. It's situational. It also depends on your preference as well. Sacrificial Healing, definitely nice, but it's got that risk involved. So just keep that in mind when you're using Sacrificial Healing. But definitely, if you could, I would throw this on for like, I'd say about 70-80% of what you have to do in Unison League. So yeah, Sacrificial Healing is definitely nice. Not a pushover move. It can be, you will see it used a lot. You will see it used a lot. My bad. You will see it used a lot. So yes, Sacrificial Healing is super nice. And then we got Decree of Kara right here. Usable when a book is equipped as your main weapon. Ability power 130, deals magic damage that uses both attack and magic, magic attack and magic defense for a single enemy twice, and then recovers 15% of your max HP. I don't think this is worth it. If you really like needing heals, you're a cleric. You're going to heal yourself as well as your teammates. That's not worrisome whatsoever. And on top of it, you're sacrificing a relic in your mate slot. I would highly recommend putting a relic in your mate slot for Silver Guidance, because Silver Guidance is legitimately the next Aether Exchange for clerics. That's just called for, and including like this supports the idea of battle clerics as well, because now that they have something that actually attacks, and on top of it is like a new Aether Exchange all in one ability, this supports battle clerics as well. So you might be seeing a bit more battle clerics now than you ever did before. Maybe just for crafts and giggles, to be fairly honest, but yeah. Okay, so right here we got Holy Circle. Holy Circle recovers 30% of their max HP for all allies, and it recovers 20 cost for all allies excluding yourself, and then increases your character's cost recovery speed by 10 for 40 seconds. This right here is a pretty good move. You will not see this in Coliseum and duel rooms, and I don't recommend this for Coliseum and duel rooms. This right here could be good for like guild battles, right? Because certain guild battles you might want to throw on certain support moves, so you're actually doing more DPS wise when it comes to Crystal Assault. Like per se, like you didn't use no Unisons, like stuff like this could be good for Crystal Assault. Or just perhaps like you're missing out on cost and you need cost. This right here is a great, without having Unison, cost move. Now I wouldn't really awfully too much recommend this. This might be a great plan B move or ability for the most part, but like unless you're like using it for certain strategies in guild battles, I wouldn't really too much worry or recommend this move. This move is useful, but you will be seeing monsters do have stuff that recovers cost and increased cost recovery speed. It's not all too uncommon, so you will not be actually like 100% needing this move. It may come in handy for some certain situations or some certain things. This is a great plan B move, but for the most part, I wouldn't really worry awfully too much about this move, Holy Circle right here, especially with like the cost, ability cooldown time, and how much it costs. I wouldn't worry all too much about it. So yeah, that pretty much covers Holy Circle right here, or not Holy, yeah, Holy Circle. I was thinking of the wrong move. Okay, so moving on from there, we got Sanctuary right here. Applies a 5-second counter heal effect to all allies that recovers 30% HP each time damage is received. This right here is pretty much like a weaker version of Devoted Sacrifice, because with Devoted Sacrifice, you're invulnerable, near invulnerable for 5 seconds, 5 full seconds. Sanctuary kind of has the same effect, except with Sanctuary, right? Instead of like being invulnerable, each hit you take is going to actually give you 30k HP back. So Sanctuary is another player, this is definitely a player versus player technique. This is not really recommended for player versus enemy at all. Zero, maybe very rarely. If you're like fighting an enemy you like really know, and you know when they're going to attack and everything, this might be good for like that occasion. But like if it's just that occasion out of like all of like the player versus enemy mission, I can't really recommend Sanctuary. So Sanctuary is mainly 100% a player versus player move. It's not going to be useful in player versus enemy at all. So yeah, that's covering Sanctuary. Like you got their CPUs, they're gonna be, it's like they don't attack as often as players do, so you're going to be using it definitely a player versus player. Trust me on this if it doesn't really make sense to you. So yeah, that's Sanctuary right there is a player versus player move. It's again weaker. It's like a weaker version of Devoted Sacrifice. So if you can use Devoted Sacrifice instead of this, I would recommend it. The both right here would be a great wombo combo, but you won't really need them because most of the time the only thing that's going to be taking damage is Rooks, and Rooks are not exactly the best DPS classes. So yeah, that pretty much covers Sanctuary right there. Okay, so the last one we are on is Time Shift. Time Shift casts dual attack on one ally, reducing their cooldown time of the next ability used by 0, except for certain abilities. This one right here is not recommended. I have Kumba here. Kumba here does that except for all allies, and it's a nice extra like ability to use. But if you have a great ability cooldown times, you could just you could just cast attacks in rotation. You could cast abilities that have attacks in rotation. It's not needed, and it's not worth it. Just for one ally, dual attack only works once, and then from there everything is going to have cooldown time. So if it was like for 10 seconds, maybe this would be worth it, but considering that dual attack only works once, like once you're done casting the move, right, you can cast it again, and then after that it's gonna have its cooldown time going off and what's so not. So can't really recommend it. It's too much effort to actually have this on, because you can only have a maximum of 4 moves on besides attack. Like you could switch, like if you have weapons that actually have like special abilities that replace the attack, you could definitely do that. But for the most part, you could only have 4 of these customizable abilities equipped, and on top of it, it has like 25 costs, and it costs 30 ability cooldown time to use, and just for one ally. And what dual attack does, I don't think it's awfully too worth it. So that's pretty much covering the Cleric skill tree. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching, and I hope this helped out. This is the AzureWrath, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.